Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing a Time Wizard deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is a really amazing deck that plays around with one of the most nostalgic cards in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In the form of Time Wizard. It's a really fun deck to play around with because it's just absolutely amazing when you call the coin toss right and just completely board wipe your opponent to be able to do some massive damage and go in for the OTK. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to the comment bar notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name scripture in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to your requested deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Time Wizard. Time Wizard is an insanely powerful card that has the ability that you flip a coin. And if you call it right, then you destroy all monsters your opponent controls. If you call it wrong, you destroy as many monsters you control as possible. And if you do, take damage equal to the total attack of the destroyed monsters, but you only have to take half. So for example, if Time Wizard's the only monster on my side of the field, I activate its effect to board wipe, then I'm only going to take 250 life points, which is still not that bad, but being able to destroy your opponent's side of the field is just really helpful for this deck to be able to do. We then play 2 copies of Baby Dragon. You got to play Baby Dragon if you're going to play Time Wizard because it helps you go into the really awesome 1000 Dragon, and this card combos really well in the deck with cards like Unexpected Die to special summon it to your side of the field, and Fusion Deployment to actually special summon it out of your deck. So this card comes in very handy. We then play 3 copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. Keeper of Dragon Magic is an awesome card that has the ability to, if it's normal or special summon, you can discard any card from your hand to be able to add a polymerization or a normal fusion spell from your deck to your hand. You can also reveal a fusion monster in your X deck to special summon one of the fusion materials back from your graveyard in face down defense position, but for the rest of the turn you cannot summon any monsters except for fusion monsters from the X deck, which is not that big of a deal. But the really cool thing about this is if you draw any copies of Baby Dragon or Time Wizard, you can actually discard those cards to the graveyard and then be able to revive them back by revealing your copy of 1000 Dragon, which is really cool and really nostalgic to be able to play 1000 Dragon in a deck. And it helps out the deck a lot to be able to get that additional monster on your side of the field, because then you can use polymerization to go into your copy of your Time Wizard of Tomorrow, which has an even better effect than the original Time Wizard. We then play 3 copies of Magician's Souls. Magician's Souls is very helpful in this deck because it has the ability that you can send 2 spells or traps from your hand or face from field to the graveyard to draw that many cards that you sent to the graveyard, but it also works really well with Dark Magician, because it has the ability that you can send a level 6 or higher spellcaster monster from your deck to the graveyard to activate one of the following effects. Either special summon this card to your side of the field, or send this card to the graveyard and then special summon a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl from your graveyard, which helps out a lot because you actually go into one of the cool cards in this deck that I'm going to get to in just a minute by summoning Dark Magician to your side of the field, which is really helpful to be able to play Magician Souls in this deck with. We then play 2 copies of Jester Confit. Jester Confit is really good in this deck because this card can basically just special summon itself to your side of the field, which can help you out with a lot of different link plays, and you don't have to have any cards on your side of the field. It doesn't matter how many cards you have in your field, you can always special summon this card, but you can only special summon it once per turn by this effect. And we then play 2 copies of Dark Magician. Dark Magician helps out in the deck a lot because it helps you go into your copy of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and helps you go into one of the more powerful cards in the deck that's super nostalgic and really awesome. But this card comes in really handy and combos really well with our Magician Souls, being able to give us a special summon onto our side of the field and being able to go into some really powerful cards later on. We then play a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon because it's just really cool to be able to play Baby Dragon, Time Wizard, Red Eyes Black Dragon, all those really nostalgic Joey cards in one deck to be able to make this really awesome deck. We then play for the really insanely powerful card that you'll never see coming unless you've seen the deck profile from last time, and it's going to be a single copy of Dark Sage. So Dark Sage is a really awesome card. It's really hard to summon, but it's really amazing when you do actually pull it off. It's very easy to summon in this deck because all you have to do in this deck to actually summon your copy of Dark Sage is to use your copy of Magician's Souls to special summon out the copy of Dark Magician by sending it to the graveyard, and then special summoning the Dark Magician back from the graveyard by sending your Magician's Souls to the grave, and then normal summoning out a copy of Time Wizard to your field and calling its effect correctly, which is really cool. It has the ability that this card can only be special summoned from your hand or deck by offering a Dark Magician on your side of the field as a tribute once you succeeded the effect of Time Wizard during that turn at that time. And then you get to select a spell card from your deck and add it to your hand and then shuffle your deck. But it's a 3,200 defense point monster, 2,800 attack, and it's just really cool to be able to include an old school nostalgic monster in this deck like Dark Sage, and it's a really amazing card. It's very hard to summon in literally any other deck, but it's really cool to be able to summon it in this deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn, because the Monster Reborn helps out a lot if we do call the coin toss wrong to give us another chance at using Time Wizard, and it's just a really cool card in this deck. We play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave just helps our opponent it helps us from stopping hand traps when our opponent tries to hand trap us, and it's just a really good card in this deck. Play a single copy of Instant Fusion, because you can actually special summon out your copy of Time Wizard of Tomorrow from the extra deck using this card. One copy of Dragon's Mirror, because you can actually go into your copy of your Thousand Dragon using your Dragon's Mirror. So this card helps out a lot in the deck, and it's really easy to actually get your Time Wizard and Baby Dragon to the graveyard, because usually on the field you're going to just send them to the graveyard for link plays, but this card helps out a lot because it's basically going to let you go into Thousand Dragon by using those monsters in the grave. One copy of Magicalized Fusion, because it can help us go into a bunch of different cards like our copies of Time Wizard Tomorrow and our copy of Red Eyes Dark Dragoons in our extra deck. One copy of Red Eyes Fusion, which we're actually be using this card to go into our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, and it's a really powerful card to be able to use in this deck. We play 3 copies of Polymerization. Polymerization is basically here because you're going to be going into Time Wizard of Tomorrow a lot in this deck to be able to get that amazing effect off. And so this card is very searchable using copies of your Keeper of Dragon Magic to get it out of the deck just by discarding another card. And it's a really awesome card to be able to include to be able to fusion summon into Time Wizard of Tomorrow. We then play a single copy of Scapegoats. Scapegoats is a really nostalgic card. It's really helpful to throw this card face down. If you do call that copy of Time Wizard wrong where you don't get the heads, this card does help out a lot to help you have a defensive play to protect yourself a little bit. And plus, it's an old school Joey card, so I figured why not? It helps out the deck a lot. It helps me link climb. And playing it as a one-of is just a really good card in this deck. We play 3 copies of Unexpected Dive because it actually lets us special summon out from our deck our copy of Baby Dragon to be able to go into link plays or to go into a lot of different plays like fusion plays, link plays, and it just is a really good card in the deck. We play 3 copies of Fusion Deployment as well. Fusion Deployment lets us reveal either Red Eyes Black Dragon, Dark Magician, Time Wizard, or Baby Dragon to be able to special summon any of those cards from the deck by revealing either Thousand Dragon or Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in our extra deck, or Time Wizard of Tomorrow in our extra deck. So this card is very powerful, but you can only go into fusion monsters for the rest of the turn after you activate this card's effect. So it's a really powerful card just to give us an instant special summon from the deck. We then play 2 copies of Second Coin Toss. Second Coin Toss is a really good card because as long as this card remains faceable on the field, you can negate the effect of requiring a coin toss once per turn and redo the coin toss. So basically it gives you a second chance to go into another coin toss just in case you called it wrong or it just didn't go the way you wanted it to. It gives you another chance. We then play 3 copies of Magician's Restage. Magician's Restage is a very interesting card for this deck because what this card does is you get to target 1 level 3 or lower spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon it, which your Time Wizard is a level 2, so this card's really helpful to get your Time Wizards back out of the graveyard to just constantly be board wiping your opponent. It also has the ability that this card can only be used once per turn. And then when this face-up card on the field is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Magician continuous spell from your deck to your hand, which we actually do play the Magician's left and right hand, which we play a single copy of right hand and a single copy of left hand. I just play these cards in the deck because they're searchable off my copy of Magician's Restage. And they have a really powerful effect that basically the first time you either activate a spell or a trap that you want to activate a spell or trap, while you control a spellcaster, you can destroy that card, which is really helpful. You negate the effect of them and you destroy them, which is really helpful for this particular card. The left hand negates the traps and the right hand negates the spells. So this card comes in very handy just to give you additional negation. So that's it for the spells and the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Time Wizard of Tomorrow. Time Wizard of Tomorrow is a 2 of in this particular build. You don't need 3 copies of it. It has the ability that you can use a Time Wizard plus any other effect monster. So it has a broad amount of cards that you can actually use for this card. You can use Keeper or Dragon Magic if you can search that poly and you already have a Time Wizard on your side of the field. You can use a lot of different stuff, like if you draw in a Dark Sage, which is kind of a brick in the deck, you can use that for this particular card. But it has the ability that's a really good effect that once per turn, while you control this fusion summon card, you can toss a coin and call it. Destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, and if you do, inflict damage equal to half the total original attack of the destroyed face-up monsters. And if you call the coin toss right, your opponent takes the damage, but if you call it wrong, then you take the damage, which is really a powerful effect because it can end games instantaneously, and it's just a really amazing card for this deck to actually be able to play because it can end games so quickly. We then play 2 copies of Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. This card actually lives through Time Wizard of Tomorrow and Time Wizard because it can't be destroyed by card effects. It's a walking negation. By discarding a card, it gains 1,000 when it negates something, and it can also do burn damage, so you can actually go through with the copy of Time Wizard of Tomorrow just to be able to burn your opponent out, which is really, really helpful. This card's really pretty much a tank in the game, and it's a really insanely powerful monster. We then play a single copy of Thousand Dragon. Thousand Dragon is a really good card in this deck because you can actually reveal it with Fusion Deployment and use Dragon's Mirror to go into this card, which is just really cool and nostalgic that you can actually summon Thousand Dragon in this deck. We'll copy a Millenniumize Restrict because a Millenniumize Restrict can be special summoned out with your copy of your Instant Fusion, so this card's very, very good to summon out to your side of the field, just to give you additional negations. For the Link monsters, we're going to be playing a single copy of Access Code, which if you want to change it out for Borreload or Boral Sword, you can. We play a single copy of Sling, Queen of the Master Magicians, because you're basically playing a bunch of magicians or a bunch of spellcasters in this deck. So this card comes in very, very handy to be able to go in for a bunch of different plays by putting spell counters on her and being able to revive your spellcasters back from the graveyard. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn because it spins stuff, Phoenix because it pops spells and traps, IP Masquerade because you can actually go in during your opponent's turn for your unicorn to spin stuff, Cross Sheet because it's primarily a fusion-based deck, so this card helps us get pluses. 1 copy of Verte Anaconda because it helps us go into Dragoons, or it helps us send our copy of our Magicalized Fusion to the graveyard to go into Time Wizard Tomorrow, which helps out the deck a lot. 1 copy of Imduk. Imduk is really helpful because it takes a normal monster to link into this, which makes it an effect monster, so you can go into other cards that require effect monsters. So this card helps out a lot. The only thing you can't do is use Scapegoat tokens because it says anything but tokens. And then we play a single copy of Linkuriboh as well. Linkuriboh helps out a lot because you do play level 1s in the deck, like your copy of your Millenniumize and your copies of your Scapegoat tokens. This card is a very powerful, helpful card in the deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck to be able to play around with. I really hope that you guys give this deck a try. It's really amazing to summon Time Wizard of Tomorrow and have such really nostalgic cards in the game to be able to play around with. Hopefully they at some point either change Time Wizard into a Red Eyes card and give us a Red Eyes fusion based around it, which would be really awesome, or they just basically retrain the Time Wizard. But it's just a really awesome thing. Like, we have the fusion monster, but I would love to have a main deck monster retrain of Time Wizard as well, which would just be really, really awesome. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.